Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to another instalment of our KUHN baler mini-series. Throughout this series we will be delving deep into the world of KUHN balers, charting their journey all the way from factory to the customer. In this episode we are going right back to the beginning, to the baler's origins. So we are at the KUHN baler factory right here in Geldrop in the Netherlands. And to give us an overview of what we are about to see in this episode and to give us a little bit of a flavour of the Geldrop factory, I'm now joined by Mr. Peter van Hoek. So Peter, take it away. What are we going to see today?
We're here in Geldrop, the factory of KUHN, the expertise center for balers, wrappers and drum mowers. We started a very long time ago in 1937 as PZ when it was founded.
Right, so this is the PZ, the famous PZ factory that many people will know.
Yeah, and to be honest, in the mid-50s he was founded his factory. He moved his factory from city Geldrop to the outskirts of Geldrop, and that's exactly this place where we still are today. And since 2009 we became part of the KUHN Group, the world famous and world known KUHN Group, which have factories all over the world, which each their own expertise. And this one in particular in Geldrop is for balers, wrappers and drum mowers.
So when it comes to KUHN balers, this is it. This is the place.
The place to be.
Right, exactly. Good stuff. So, the place to be, how big is this place?
Actually, the current surface, because KUHN, to be honest, invested heavily in our location. Since then we scaled up to 16 hectares of surface, and close to 500 people are working here in this space in all various departments we have in Geldrop.
So, in this episode then, we've got a lot coming up, haven't we? Yeah. And it's literally, if you can, grab yourself a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever floats your boat. I mean, grab a beer. Grab a beer, grab a drink, settle down, because this is going to be good. It's going to be quick fire. We are going to fly around this factory, have a look at all the little different departments, see what is actually going on, basically how you actually make a baler. So, Peter, I think we shall see you again in a little bit. But for now, thank you very much, and for you guys, strap in, we'll get ourselves around this KUHN Geldrop factory. So ladies and gents, we shall now dive straight in of our tour of KUHN's Geldrop factory, and we are going to start with parts production, specifically laser cutting technology. So I'm now joined by Eef van Gessel, who is going to talk us through some of the investments that KUHN has made, starting with this magnificent and very complicated laser cutter. So, Eef, yes, just talk us through it, the initial stages of production.
Within KUHN Geldrop, part production is laser cutting, is bending and welding. And this is the first step in our fabrication process, and it's laser cutting.
Yeah.
The last few years we invested heavily in new equipment for the laser cutting.
You can definitely see that.
This one is brand new.
Right. So how many of these will you have to do all the?
We will have 2 of these machines.
Right.
We invested in these machines in the new laser technology because it's more productive than old equipment. And this machine is also automized.
Okay.
So it cuts the part by itself, but then with those handles, it picks up the parts and puts the parts on a pallet already soldered.
So is that magnetic, those?
No, it's with air.
Oh, it's air, so it's vacuum, is it?
Vacuum,
right.
yeah. It takes the parts off and puts it on a pallet, so it's immediately finished to go to the next process.
Right, and has this replaced several machines to do that similar process?
Yeah. We have now 1 of this machine, and it replaces 2 old laser cutting machines.
Right.
So it replaces 2 old machines, but it also has the benefits, this new technology, that you only need half of the electricity.
Okay, so it's a lot more efficient.
It's a lot more efficient, and it's more productive because of the machine takes out the parts by itself.
In terms of accuracy, I assume it's very accurate. Once the metal has been cut, you won't have to do too much more work to it, do you, in terms of machining or finishing?
No, it's not needed because of the software it's huge benefits in the last year that the software is that accurate that it cuts a very smooth line and we don't need to do any processes afterwards.
Well, that is the first stage in the process.
Exactly.
We shall now move on to the next stage. So, hey, we move on onto some sub-assembly now, you might say.
Yeah.
And in the background, we've got some welding going on.
Yes, indeed.
So, just talk us through this next process in the fabrication phase.
So the first step was laser cutting.
Yeah.
Then we have the bending, and in the end we have the welding of the parts. And we do that mostly with welding robots and not manually. So here in the back of us you see one of our robots welding the parts together.
And do you do still, are there some people still doing little bits of welding for?
Yeah, some specific parts are done manually, or very big parts, but we try to do the majority of our workload do it by robots.
Okay, and in terms of parts fabrication, what sort of percentage of parts would you actually make in-house compared to those that you maybe buy in?
More than half of the parts that we use in our machines are produced by ourselves.
Right.
And we make the choice to produce the most critical parts for the machine by ourselves.
Yeah. So those critical parts, what would they be? Would they be sort of like the chassis, bale chamber, things like that?
Yeah, exactly. That kind of parts, yeah, that we do by ourselves. Yeah.
Okay. And what sort of rate can these weld at in terms of, throughput?
Depending, of course, of the part, but some parts are very complex, and then it can take up to a few hours to do a complete assembly, and some parts it's just over a few minutes.
Excellent stuff. So there we go. 2 steps down. We shall we'll move on to the next bit. So far we've seen laser cutting, we've seen welding, and obviously we talked about the bending in between.
Yeah.
Next step, powder coating.
Powder coating.
Talk
indeed.
us through it.
Yeah. Powder coating, different stages in the process. First of all, we hook parts. Then they are going into our powder coating system. We do shot blasting, so that's taking the corrosion of our parts. After shot blasting, the parts go to a chemical pre-treatment, so cleaning the parts and taking grease off. And afterwards, we do the coating of the parts. We do it in 2 different cabins, powder coating cabins. One we use for the KUHN grey and the other for the KUHN red. If the parts are coated, they are going to a furnace, and then the parts